Earlier, you were talking about business leaders. I thought of that movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, where this baseball team decides that if they want to win, if they really just wanted to win, they should take the emotions out of it and say, stop going for the super cool base hits and all these other things, and just play by the numbers. You can win this game of baseball if you just play it rationally and logically, as opposed to most teams that were doing things the old way and the old patterns because the old timers did it that way. And ultimately they were successful, I think, because they took their emotion out of it. Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'd say about that is I don't believe that emotions are bad. It's a misconception that people might derive from my book. And actually, the science on this confirms what I'm trying to say, that emotions are very important. That they've done studies of people who've had brain damage to the extent where the emotional part of the brain, which is generally centered on the right hemisphere, has been damaged. So people don't have access to the usual emotions. And they are the ones who make the most irrational decisions of all, because they can't, for instance, tell if someone who they should mistrust, they don't have the emotional intelligence to see that that person is not somebody they can trust, and then they do something very naive. So emotions are actually very important. And you're not going to be able to write a book, to start a business, to create a popular podcast, to win an election, unless you have a great deal of energy and emotional power and enthusiasm for it. I talk in Mastery how Albert Einstein, the person we consider the most rational person ever, was extremely emotional. And he talked about how it took an incredible amount of excitement to spend 10 years studying the same one formula day after day after day after day. You need your emotions. And I compare it to the old ancient Greek metaphor of a rider on a horse. So the horse represents your animal nature, your emotions, right? And the rider is your intelligence, the neocortex, the part of our thinking process that evolved much later on, okay? So if you just let the horse go wherever and you don't try and guide it, you're going to end up in all kinds of dangerous things. The horse might just like jump off a cliff, or will end up going anywhere, right? But if you hold on to the horse too tightly, if you're so worried about controlling it, it won't go anywhere, or it'll be very rebellious and upset. So that you have to learn how to ride a horse, which means you find a middle path. You hold the reins, you guide it, but you use that energy of the horse, the power that it contains, to take you somewhere, but you guide it. You give it some intelligence. That is what rationality is about. So you have to have that energy. You can't repress your emotions. You can't repress anger. To try and repress anger will only cause other problems, physical and emotional. You have to learn how to use your anger. You have to be able to be like that rider on the horse and guide it in an intelligent, productive way, right? So it's not about just getting rid of emotions, which is impossible for a human being. It's about learning how to recognize their power, how much they intend to infect your decisions, and to be able to guide them in some way instead of letting the emotions ride you, you're riding them.